So I look to see what's working on each platform. What type of post works the best for this type of outcome? Okay,
Yes.
what type of post works on Facebook for this type of outcome? Well,
Hmm.
what works over on Instagram for this type of outcome? And LinkedIn, works on this?
Hmm.
And then I started to see a trend and I made note and then
Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey, folks, John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your most true, best, authentic business voice. Well, maybe to shorten that up, maybe it's just your most true, authentic voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, meet the person of your dreams, make billions of dollars. That's why we have today's guests. We haven't been able to crack those last two yet, but I feel very confident with our guests that we'll get the billions of dollars part worked out. And if not, we'll certainly put you on a pathway to help you find your own authenticity. And that's why I'm very excited. I get to have on someone who is a coach, a published author, a podcast host as well too, writes newsletters, speaks on stages, and does all that kind of cool stuff and has a great energy about her. Katie Brinkley, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Aw, thank you so much for having me. We were talking before you hit record here about like trying to find the way through the heat of bringing the energy and, finding the ways of like bringing excitement. And I think that that's one of the hardest parts of being a business owner is like, not all of us are like super amped to show up on social media anymore, right? Like, who wants to show up and dance and do all these, talking videos and stuff? It's like, oh, we got to bring it every single day. Like, I just wanted to start my own business. And like, I'm excited to talk about how you can do it.
So I'm really excited for all of that. Like we were talking about efficiency prior, and we'll cover that as well. One of the things that got my attention originally is the part where, in terms of your background, and I'm literally going more professionally than anything else in terms of what I'm referring to, your background in broadcast media, pro sports especially, and jumping through that for as many years as you did. What got you interested?
Oh man, yeah. Well, I never expected to be a business owner. I
Mhm.
thought I was going to
Right.
be a DJ, a sports reporter,
Yeah.
and I'm so fortunate. I was able to get that job right out of college. I was a sports
Mhm.
reporter at it was Clear Channel, and then now
Mhm.
it's iHeartMedia.
Yep.
But yeah, I landed my dream job right out of college and was the post-game reporter for the Broncos and the Rockies
Mhm.
and the Avalanche. Loved what I did, and then quickly learned that there's like zero money in radio. And not that, like I don't think I was ever like, oh, I want to be like a millionaire, but at the same time, I wanted to, not live with my parents, and so I was like, well, what else can I do? And
Mhm.
it took me into marketing, and I worked for the Rockies TV station for a while, and whenever there's businesses that I guess I'm trying to think of what when they combine, they overtake
You
each
merge?
other. Yes, merging. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, we're recording at the end of the day. Yeah, so whenever there's a merger,
Mhm.
positions get eliminated. And mine, unfortunately, they didn't know what I did, and my position got moved to Atlanta, and I didn't want to move to Atlanta, so I chose to take the severance, and honestly, it was the best thing that happened for me. And now I have my own business. I've had this business now for almost 9 years, and I love what I do every day.
So when you were covering, like since you were covering the sports team, and that is, and I love the way you describe that. On paper, it would be a marquee position. Not only am I duly impressed that you nailed that coming out of college, like that's something that a lot of people aspire to, especially going into a major market. So going in, you know what I mean, covering pro teams in a major market is often a case of fourth or fifth stop. Well,
Mhm.
first I was
Yeah.
here, and then I covered the minors, then I did this. Why do you think you were able to land so quickly? What was it that got you excited? Because that is unusual.
Yeah, well, I played collegiate sports,
Mhm.
so I played softball in college, and I also took a max uh, load through college. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
and I took summer classes, and I also took an internship. So I mean, like I really was like pedal to the metal when it came to college. And I graduated in 3.5 years. And during my internships, I did a lot of networking.
Okay.
I worked at the college radio
Mhm,
station, and that was actually my first segue into social media was when
mhm.
I was at the college radio station. That was when MySpace
I
was
loved your
really
line about that
popular.
in your bio. That, like,
Yeah.
starting at MySpace. I love that.
I was dating myself, but I mean, like, really, it's
But
that
there we were. I was in too, right? So,
it was my
there we were.
gateway.
Nice. God.
Yeah,
God.
it well, and when I worked at the college radio station, we had to get bands to send us their music for free, and so I was really all in on MySpace, like I said, and so, um, I was networking with,
Mhm.
bands and radio stations in Denver and, DJs in Denver, and really, at the time, I was just selfishly trying to, well, 1, get tickets to free concerts,
Sure.
in Denver, and 2, I wanted to make connections so that when I graduated, I knew people in the industry. So, it was 100% self-serving, but it did open up doors and for when I did graduate, and, I knew a lot of the right people, and I had opportunities because I was putting in the effort, putting in the
Yeah,
legwork
yeah.
of that work. So yeah, that's that. I wish I could say it was all talent and everything, but it really was networking, and I can't stress this enough. It's so important to network. It's so
Mhm,
important to go to those events,
mhm,
do things like this right now. Like we're having a podcast conversation,
mhm.
but you and I are able to have a conversation.
Right.
Now we know a little bit more about each other,
Mhm.
and who knows what's going to happen from here on out. Like maybe you'll go to an event and be like, "Hey, I actually talked to somebody that did XYZ," and I don't, you never know where it can go from there.
The way that you wrap that up is so nice, I believe, and so true, and so true. Like, to me, that's been one of the more fun parts. However, the networking. However, just speaking for myself, not every day, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Is like, it's such a great reminder that the
Yeah.
actual showing up, and what I was gonna say, the showing up to progress. But it's interesting in terms of, and we will get to the way that you navigate business and coaching and speaking and efficiencies shortly. But it's funny that you were all in college and run and mowing through and got to get to the networking and all that stuff.
Yes.
What kind of hours were you blowing through
Well, and this is the thing too. My dad didn't let me have a car. So I I didn't have a lot to do. I I lived on campus. Rode my bike places. I took public
uh,
transportation.
uh,
Um, I didn't have a car. I was so mad at him, but it really did teach me like how to become resourceful.
right, right.
And I didn't get into a lot of trouble. I mean, like I just
Mhm.
focused on getting stuff done. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what I find that interesting because you've certainly had your taste of long hours, and
Yeah.
and when you add public transportation and not having a car, long hours in my mind go to longer hours, and
Yeah.
so that's to me
Yes.
you're just adding to the strain of a ton of things going on a completely frivolous note. If I asked you, what was the best concert that you saw as a result of being connected in terms of getting free tickets? What would be one show that you got that you were like, you know what, that was great?
Well, I mean, so I was really into punk music
Yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
okay.
So I got to go see a lot of punk music and go backstage. But as far as like stadium tours, I got to screen calls for Lars of Metallica.
Wow.
And after that, after I screened the calls for him when he was in Denver, he was like, "Hey, are you going to come to the show tomorrow night?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't have tickets." And he was like, "Oh, well, here." And he gave me like behind the stage, like
God almighty.
tickets to go see Metallica. I'm not a huge rock fan, so I mean,
I know
like,
what you mean.
opportunity was like a little bit wasted on me. I went, but I mean, I was like, this is cool, but like, there's a lot of like headbanging and stuff. That wasn't
Yep.
100% my scene, but probably like memory wise, like going to see Metallica at the old Mile High Stadium and have backstage to that. So,
Never been to Mile High, but somewhere I always wanted, like bucket list, like stadiums. Funny, they were just in Philadelphia not long ago, and
okay.
just a couple weeks ago, and so it's like, but it's just interesting the perks. What I remember of being in the field, it was television and radio was first. And what I remember was it was the perks that bought you time. So because they weren't paying you,
Hmm.
they thought, well, what do we have? So it would be like them reaching into either a prize closet or the ticket closet. So they all had you could get all the t-shirts you wanted, but it was rough when you had to pay rent because you
Yeah.
spend the tickets or what have you. So you roll through a 20, like close to 20 years, right? I mean, it's how did that evolve for you in regards to the things that you got to do? You started right out of college. How did it evolve to you in regards to responsibilities and experiences?
Yeah, and I think that with when I first started, like I said, it was all I saw social media as a great way to network, and it
Right.
still is.
Mhm.
It's but now if you look at social media, it's entertainment, right?
Mhm.
We're going there, entertain me,
Mhm.
and so um but when it like MySpace was my introduction to HTML code. Like we were going
Wow.
there and we were posting on each other's walls. It was an entirely different way of showing
Mhm.
up and connecting. And now it's showing up and it's no different than turning on the television. And so
Mhm.
I think that that's one of the biggest switches that I have seen is just how we connect there is with the it's less connecting and more consuming.
What gave you the guts after the run, so to speak? What gave you the guts to strike out on your own?
Well, my boss, I had a great boss.
Mhm.
Her name is Jen. She and I still keep in touch. And I remember sitting in her office and I was like, "Ah, man, Jen, like I'm not moving to Atlanta. Like but
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Well, Katie, you're so good at social media. It'd be cool if
Mhm.
you could find a job where that's all you do, because at the time when I was at the TV station, I was doing social media. I was writing scripts for commercials. I was
Mhm.
placing ads. I was doing a bunch of things, doing traditional media buys. But she's like, "You're so good at social media. It'd be cool if you could find a way where social media is all that you do. It'd be cool if you found a way to get back into radio." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay."
Okay.
And so I left her off and I was like, "Well, what if I did find a job where social media was all that I did?" And at the time, you know, 9 years ago, social media, it was still a a bit of like an internship or like an entry level position. It wasn't
Right.
quite as yeah. And so I was like, "Well, I'm a little too far on in years to to
Mhm.
take an entry level position.
Sure.
Um, I need more money than that." And so I was like, "Well, what if I just tried to find some clients on my own?" And I found one, and then I found another, and then I found another, and I was like, "Man, I'm making more money than I was at the station. What if I just did this?" And now I have an agency, and there's 8 of us here, and we do podcast production and social media and complete outsourced digital marketing department. So it's great. And like Jen wished back then 9 years ago, I kind of got my foot back in the door with radio by doing podcasting.
See, well, this is the part about having vision, and I think it's guts and vision. Oh, and talent helps all three of those in regards to making something work. And I would ask you, you were as a media buyer, and I know a lot. I know a lot, and it's one of those things where social media, like you said, 9 years ago was almost dismissed.
Mm.
By a lot of traditional media buyers. They bought what they traditionally bought, and they had relationships, and so they played to relationships as well as playing to clients.
Hmm.
And so you had to walk those lines. And right, so social was, well, all right, fine, if I have to. So what did you see in social that was like, and I don't mean MySpace, but what I mean is, what did you see that you brought up the word entertain me, and I love that. But what did you see that you felt like had something you could, to use your words, what if I just did social media? What did you see then?
I I guess like it for me, I always that was always the thing for my job that I liked the best.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
It was the most fun part of my job.
Mhm.
I did I did like seeing the different ways that we could build connection, the ways that businesses could grow.
Right.
Um, when you went in with on social media,
Mhm.
I think it's just a different way of building connection than
Mhm.
any other platform out there. But man, it's changed. It's really changed, and it man, I feel like I'm stumbling over my words a lot today, but it's a great tool, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
We're going on there to be entertained, but, like, not all of us wanna be entertainers,
Mhm.
You gotta be on it for your business, but, you know, does your business have time to be on it? And there's all these, like, 2 sides of every I feel like we're all walking around with these like, the angel and the devil when it comes to on our shoulders when it comes
Yeah.
to social media,
Yeah.
but it's a great tool. It's a
Mhm.
great tool to build your business, but, you have to have a strategy when it comes to
Okay.
social media, and if you don't have a strategy, then you're just wasting your time,
Mhm.
and wasting your energy.
As you've carved out a very impressive business niche, um, what would you say to people that don't have a strategy? In essence, more the not should you or shouldn't you, but more what I mean is like, where do you begin with that? Because I love the way you phrase that, which is you just went in. You
Yeah.
just went in, and like you said, first for me, I'm pulling a couple of things, and I'm looking at the frequency on my phone. And part was just thinking of the way that you talk about in terms of setting up programs. I was looking at photos and I was looking at the number of photos that I had in my phone from a certain timeline,
Mhm.
right? So I'm pulling from 20 years ago. So 20 of folks, if you're listening to us in 2025, that I'm pulling from like say 2005 or even 2004 was one year I pulled up for something. And it was like, total photos 46 for the year. And
Mhm.
and then it's like going to this sick amount of space that I'm chewing up on my phone, 95% of it with the express purpose that this is going to land on social media in
Mhm.
somehow, in some way. That I don't buy frames for photos. It's not like, oh, I'm going to print them. I don't. So I just have them, which
Yeah.
means the usage has changed, which means I'll just speak for me that a while back, I just did it.
Mhm.
And then based on the draw, the addiction, whatever the case may be, and then you wind up just doing it more and more and more. So when you're speaking with people, you've started this business, you realize, like I said, it's important, and the angel devil analogy. What do you say to people that just feel like I'm so far in, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing at this point?
Well, you should read my book, but,
Right? There you go.
no, I think that, you don't need to post so much. Take a step back, and before you hit post at all, ask what is the purpose behind this post?
Mhm.
What is the purpose? Because honestly, we need less noise. We don't
Right.
need more.
Mhm.
There's a lot of bad posts out there,
Mhm.
and if you just posted once for the whole month, but it was a really good post and it
Mhm.
generated some business for you, wouldn't that be better than posting every single day a whole bunch of stupid Canva graphics and generic content that nobody
Mhm.
really cares about? Like, Yeah. So, what is the purpose behind this post? Ask yourself that before you hit post.
So I love it. So the book, by the way, it's called The Social Shift.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I find and I wanted to lean into this part of the conversation was simply because it runs counter to a lot of opinions in regards to business efficiency on social media. And you've got the quadrant of four, for instance, I've been coach, entertain, read, that sell, and then we've got to tie it to this, tie it to that, and best times, 8 a.m. and lunch and 4 p.m. and you need an evening edition. And so 4 a day and then 30, it's insane. You come in with, hey, as you just to use your words, say, look, if you've got one good post in a month, it would be better. That's what got my attention, actually. How did you know by the doing, first off, before you wrote the book? How did you realize, oh, this is interesting. This actually works. And it's more fun.
I did it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, do you remember an example when you were like
Yeah.
something really took off? Walk me through the step, if you don't mind. Steps, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I I was at the park with my daughter,
Mhm.
who was about 3 at the time. She just turned 11 yesterday.
Wow.
So it was a
Nice.
while ago now.
Mhm.
And we're at the park, and I remember seeing this group of teenagers, and they were all sitting in a circle, and they're all staring down at their phones like this. They weren't even talking to each other. And it
Mhm.
was a beautiful day.
Mhm.
Like, God, is this what my daughter has to look forward to?
Mhm.
Is like, hey, let's all get together and not talk to each other or even
Right.
look at each other. This
Right.
sounds awesome.
Mhm. Mhm. And
And I was
that's
like,
our every day.
yeah, and then I was thinking, I was like, and I'm contributing to this. Like I have an agency that's posting for people on social media. Like I'm contributing to it's a problem.
Sure.
Um, and I was like, but I'm not gonna stop because you have to be on social media. Me shutting down my business isn't gonna change the world,
Mhm.
you know, but there has to be a better way. And that really stuck with me I mean, like, obviously it does. I'm still remember exactly where those kids were,
Yeah.
and and, um, I remember just thinking about that, and I was like, "Man, do we have to be on social media so much?" I remember seeing, like, especially after COVID, like, everyone was on their phones all the time, and suddenly, because we were at our houses, like,
Mhm.
okay, we were all not afraid to turn on our cameras and, show up without makeup on and all
Mhm.
that stuff, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like, we all have lives. We all are not available 24/7. Like
Right.
I grew up in I'm a geriatric millennial. So I mean, I grew up alongside of the internet. I grew
Mhm.
up where we still took our phones off the hook at dinner time. So uh and I think that it is a problem that we're available
Mhm.
so much. We're answering emails at 7 o'clock, and all that. So how can we make that change? We don't need to be so available. How can we show up more effectively and still use social media to grow our business, but still giving us the space to form those real life connections
Mhm.
and grow our business?
Mhm.
And so I look to see what's working on each platform? What type of post works the best for this type of outcome? Okay,
Yes.
what type of post works on Facebook for this type of outcome? Well,
Mhm.
what works over on Instagram for this type of outcome? And LinkedIn, works on this?
Mhm.
And then I started to see a trend and I made note. And then I was like, well, what if I did a certain type of post regularly over and over again, reverse engineered. This is the end goal I want people to take every single week and just reverse engineered it using the posting the way that the platforms wanted me to post that week for that end goal. And that's where the 4 post strategy came into play.
Yeah. See, I you won't find me disagreeing with you. It's something I would want to aspire to. But for myself, and I'm not going to speak for my audience, but I would just say that in terms of almost like the fear of missing out, you know,
Yeah.
that sense of, yeah, that's nice, but I really I'm going to lose business
Mm.
lose credibility, lose momentum. And so, for the myriad of entrepreneurs that are out there or taking the leaps from people that, like you, that you took a significant risk in regards to the way that you chose your career path, but you've also done the research and you also did the trial and error. And I think it's significant that, and by the way, one of the nice parts, as you just said, is like, hey, well, they should read your book. One of the nice things about that is that you've invested the person hours in terms of making all of that work. Um,
Well, the thing is too, John, not all of us are Alex Hormozy
right.
or Gary Vee, where he's got like a team of 20 to take
Hmm.
one video of him going to someone's garage sale and turn it into 8 months of content,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
so, I mean, like, not all of us are like that. Like, I don't know about you, like, I have a social media agency, but, like, I have a business to run.
Hmm.
My poor social media Erica, good God love her, every Monday, she's like, "Hey, Katie, I still need those videos." And I mean, like, she still is asking me for assets and stuff, like,
Hmm.
we all like, I'm a business owner first, and so I get it, like, how can we show up, grow our business, and grow and use social media as a tool, and use it as that marketing tool? And it's by posting with a purpose.
Mm. When you're coaching, when you're bringing in clients and you're working with them and they're looking at you, uh, do you typically meet resistance or do you typically meet enthusiasm in terms of, like, I imagine after a little while there would be unbridled enthusiasm, but I'm always curious in regards to, you're preaching something that's slightly different. You've got somebody literally saying to you in your own office, hey, where's the videos? You know what I mean? Like, do you, like, not that you're responsible for everyone's social media addiction, but how do you wean people back?
Yeah, e I get it, like,
Hmm.
it's hard, it is an addiction.
Right.
What you said earlier, FOMO, like,
Hmm.
well, what
Hmm.
I gotta be on there, like, if my competitors are posting more, I have to post more, and it's like,
Hmm.
"No, you don't really," like, you're just adding to the noise, like, we don't need more lousy content, right? We need better content. We do. I mean, I don't sit down on Sunday morning and watch the infomercials just because they're there, like, so but I do make sure I go back and watch those, videos on Hulu, and I'll
Hmm.
watch all sorts of old HGTV episodes from, 10 years ago because it's still good content.
I love that you say that. So, for you, what you talked in the beginning, and I love the way that like those bookends, so to speak, of old HGTV and the fact that social was meant to entertain. How would you identify good content? And I don't specifically mean what show or what person. I mean more. What do you think in terms, as a pro who runs a business, who specializes and is an expert? What do you see that you like typically? Style or purpose or intention?
Stop creating content for yourself.
Mm,
Create content for
mm,
your client.
mm,
Stop creating content that's gonna "Hey, I need more sales, so I need to create content like this." No, create content for your client. Donald Miller,
yeah,
he's wrote Story Brand, yeah,
yeah,
Hero's Journey.
mhm,
I mean, put yourself in your ideal customer's shoes,
mhm,
create content for them, and it's going to bring in the right people.
mm.
Stop creating for you, create for them.
God, Katie, every so often, so I'm a massive fan of Donald Miller and the book and the thoughts of the word Sherpa and all that sort of, that sense, like Yoda, I think was his comparison, rather than the hardcore salesperson. And I think about that because it's easy to forget that stuff. It really is easy. Yeah, 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 but I gotta, and then you go right back in. So I loved the way that you just said that, because to me it's almost like everything stopped for a second when you were like, don't create for yourself. What would be some of the elements that you would suggest to a client, an audience, an individual of you're creating for other people? What are some ways that they can do that in addition to working with you?
Yeah, so I mean, put yourself in your client's shoes. Share your story. Your story is going to have the best results. And why did you start your business? Well, how did you help a client with, solve this problem? How did you overcome this problem? How did you use this tool to, learn from XYZ, whatever?
Right?
Stories sell,
Mhm.
and it makes you relatable.
Mhm.
We talked earlier about Metallica. We talked
Yeah.
earlier about me being a sports reporter.
Mhm.
I don't know, like, I made you got really excited when I talked about Metallica, and I
Weird,
mean,
and
I
I'm
don't
not a
like,
rock fan either. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not a rock fan, but I
I'm
mean,
like
like, someone listening might have been like, she went backstage for Metallica, and she
Mhm.
doesn't think that's cool. This girl is crazy." But
Mhm.
now I'm memorable for that person.
Right.
The stories
Mhm.
sell, and sharing your story is going to help you become memorable. And
Mhm.
be open. Don't be afraid to share your story and share the highlights as well as the lowlights, because social media, we definitely have a tendency of only putting our highlight reel on there, but it's not all highlight reel. So share the lowlights too, and it's going to help you bring in an amazing community of people that want to be along for the ride and want to refer business to you and tell their friends about you.
I love every bit of that. I was going to say so, and also from an outward facing side, you host a very successful podcast. You also speak a lot. And I'll go to the speaking side when you just said in terms of vulnerability and all that sort of thing. How long did it take you to get comfortable with being able to share about yourself and those sorts of stories, to use your words, not all just highlight reels? When were you able to do that? Do you remember what it felt like the first time when you're in
Yeah,
front
you
of
wanna
an
listen to
audience?
some bad podcasting, just go listen to the first few episodes of Rocky Mountain Marketing. They're pretty
Oh,
terrible, and I come from radio, so I mean,
right.
whew, yeah, they're out there. I keep them up there just for that reason. Like, we all start somewhere,
Yep.
and for me, it was guesting on other people's
Got
podcasts.
it. Yep.
I think that podcast guesting is one of the best
Mhm.
ways to get comfortable in sharing your story, because you talk about it over and over again in a variety of ways, especially when you have a great host like you, John. I mean, you're a very good
Very
host.
kind. Thank you.
And so I think that the more times you get comfortable sharing your story,
Right.
the more you'll realize, this is my story. This
Mhm.
is what I'm passionate about. This is what my differentiator is.
Mhm. It's funny to me, not funny, forgive me, it more weird to me in the sense that I don't I can remember when I felt less uncomfortable when I started to speak. I don't necessarily remember what I said. I really don't have a strong recollection of that, but I really can remember like who was in the audience or what, and all that sort of thing. I think what you just said, guesting on a podcast part, I think it's really important, folks, for anyone watching and listening. If you have access to that, if you've got friends that are doing it, volunteer. I'm always a big believer. It's almost impossible to make a fool out of yourself if you're just literally just being yourself. For me, it took me a really long time. I love the fact
Mhm.
you put the early episodes up.
Yeah.
Um, I just it's got to be just pure laziness on my part why I have not taken down the first 30 or 40 of my own. It's just simply has to be because it was just me rambling alone about how to like voiceover tips
Yep.
and I can find them unlistenable. So I love the fact that it's just you put yourself out there. Um, and so with all of that being said, with the myriad of things that you are doing, what would you say right now is giving you the most satisfaction at this moment? I'll just say. What lights you up the most? Is it the speaking, the podcasting, coaching clients, like, and I'm guessing, I mean, writing? What is it that really lights you up the most right now?
Well, I am writing another book, so
Great.
that's a lot of fun. It writing the first book was very scary. I'd never written a book before. I'm a
Mhm.
talker. We talked about this earlier. I mean, I went
Sure.
to radio, and
Yeah.
so writing a book was scary. But now that I've done it, I
Mhm.
want to do it again. So that's probably what's lighting me up right now is the opportunity to write another book.
How far along are you in that process?
Well, not as far as I'd like, but my
Yeah,
goal
you
is to have it done
commit.
by the end of the year. So
Yeah, okay, then great.
yes.
I find I'm in the midst of writing one and I laughingly say who isn't for the first one, but
Yeah.
you actually did it. And that to me is what makes that's the separator is that you actually concluded and are in the midst of a second. So I'm absolutely thrilled for you.
You know what the reason why I did it is because I told somebody I was
Mhm.
writing a book, somebody that I admired, and I said, "Hey, yeah, I'm writing a book on this." And he said to me, he goes, "Oh, well, when you're done with it, send it to me and I'll read it. And if it's any good, I'm happy to write the foreword for you." And
Oh,
so then I was like, "Well, God, now I got to write this thing."
I got to write a book. And it was like, well, I couldn't think of a better motivator. And I have been reading, but I don't know who did the forward. That's terrible preparation on my part. I should be able to say,
Joe
oh, yeah,
Polizzi. Joe Polizzi is who
thank
wrote
you.
the foreword. But
Thank
yes,
you.
that's okay. Yeah, but so he is he created Content Marketing World and
Hmm. Hmm.
he wrote Content Inc. and all that. And I saw him speak at a conference, and I was like, "Oh, I'm writing a book."
Oh, sure. Sure.
And then he had to say he'd write the foreword if I after I wrote, and I was like, "God, now I got to write this thing."
Oh,
So
man.
but he followed through on his word. I sent it to him. He said it was good. He wrote the forward, and there we go.
And there we go. And another one in process. It's very exciting. Katie, I ask when I remember, I ask most people, how would you define authenticity as it relates to you right now?
Oh man, I I think I stopped. It sounds terrible saying this, but I kind of stopped caring.
What?
I stopped caring. And when I stopped caring, I feel like I became more authentic.
Oh, I got
I was real worried
you. Mhm.
about what would people think? I make weird faces. I talk out of the left side of my mouth, and it's because from radio, you don't want to talk, get spit in, like certain words and everything. And so, I mean,
Peter
I,
Piper picked the
yeah,
back.
Peter Piper picked a peck of yeah. So, I mean, like all the things, like there's a lot of things where I stopped caring. I'm like, yeah, that's just me. And I found that like when I stopped caring about what other people were thinking
Yeah.
about me, I just it allowed me to really hone in on what makes Katie, Katie, and,
Mhm.
um, I feel like I'm a more fun person.
Mm. Mm. So, what would you wish for? I'll leave it at this for the moment, which is I'm thinking of the example that you gave uh, with your now 11-year-old daughter that was in staring at their phones with their friends silently. What would you wish for her in regards to figuring out some pieces? She's 11, so no pressure. But I mean, simply, what would you wish for her in terms of figuring that path out on her own?
Yeah, I think well, regardless of your age, whether you're 11 or 111, social media is a great way to build community. Some of my best friends are online, and I only see them maybe once a year,
Mhm.
but they're online, and it's because of social media.
Right.
It's a great way to build community, but use it for building community. Enjoy being offline as much as you're enjoying being online. Like, I just spoke at Social Media Week, and I love that event so much because it's the one time every year I get to be with all of my best online friends. And every time I'm there, I come home and I'm like, I didn't take any pictures. And it's because I enjoyed
Oh,
every single moment of being in person with my friends. I'm not even on my phone. I'm just with them. And I'm like, God, I didn't even take any pictures with them. And like, I'm sad about it, but at the same time, I'm like, I was just enjoying every single moment of being with them.
You
So
were there, and that's such a cool thing. You put that in your, I think it was LinkedIn or where you talk about it. Like you already the clock's ticking for next year or something like that.
yes, I took pictures of me. That's it. The 3 pictures, 2 of them were from other people, and 1 was a selfie.
So, well, they were good. But in the meantime, I think that sense of being fully engaged is so impressive. So are you. Katie Brinkley, I'm thrilled that you showed up for me today. You've got a great website, and folks, it will be in the bio so I don't torture people with KatieBrinkley.com is a really good place to go. And you get to see links to the podcast, links to the books, opportunities in terms of working with. Katie, is there anywhere else that they should be? Or is that the best place that we send people to learn more about you?
Yeah, KatieBrinkley.com is the best place, and then you can kind of choose your own adventure from there.
That sounds like fun. So thank you very much for showing up for me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Made the conversation great. And folks, you've just heard another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the home, the place, the platform to help you find your best authentic voice. John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Thanks so much for checking us out again, and we will keep driving content through your front door. Have a great rest of the day, all. We'll talk soon. Bye.
And now, making its way across the finish line, Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.